Yo, what's good? This is Jaxler, and this is part 1 of the Neopets, the Darkest Faerie, any percent speedrun tutorial. Now, in the previous couple of videos, I covered how to get practice tools set up for this game. So if you're interested in getting those set up and why those might be helpful to you, I've got 2 videos on those. One of them is an installation guide, and the other is a manual on how to use all of its features. But for this tutorial, I'm going to set it up in such a way such that you don't have to have that set up in order to learn the run. All you need is just a PS2 and a controller and probably a memory card for saves and stuff. So, without further ado, let's get started. Time starts when we hit new game, but I'm not going to run with a timer. But when you are using like a live split timer to time out your runs, that's when you would hit split to start. So this first video is going to cover the introduction part of the run, where we start off in the tutorial area, as well as it's going to cover our shopping trip in Meridell. So, we used to do these in 2 separate videos, but now we're just going to do it in one. Alright, so, before I begin, I'm just going to note that I'm going to be showing you a different route than what the world record does in the early game, just because it is a bit easier to understand what's going on. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Oh, I should mention, if you want to learn that route, just let me know, and I can make a video on it, because it impacts the next couple of segments. So, without further ado, so you're going to spawn like right here, so you're going to want to turn around 180 degrees towards your house, and we're going to run up over the hill. So what we want to do at the start is, we're going to be skipping the first sword that you would normally get casually, so we need to make sure that we have 500 Neo points by the time that we enter Meridell. So we're going to go inside of here, and open up this chest. So now we're going to go ahead and just double check. So it gave us 200 Neo points. You need at least 150 Neo points from this chest. If you don't get enough, there is another backup chest somewhere on the farm. But if you get less than 150 Neo points, I would just reset. It's much faster that way. So from here, we can just sidle our way over here. There is a strat that you can use to kind of go over this faster. It's not really worth covering because it's really only relevant to this route, so just sidle your way along there. You got the Neo points that you need from the chest, and we're good to go. So as we're coming out of this loading screen, I like to hold right on the right stick, just so that the camera's pointed this way, so it's a little easier to know where to run. And then we're just gonna run back up the hill and back towards the way we came. But I prefer personally to go to the left side of the house. I'm not sure which is technically which is technically faster, but that's the way that is easiest for me to remember. And as you come up this hill, let's talk about the first skit that we're going to be doing, which is Forest Escape, as I like to call it. So, if you look right here, as what we're essentially going to be doing is trying to grab on top of this wall to get a ledge grab to get us out of bounds. And then from there, I'll explain what we do once we perform this. But getting the initial jump is a little bit tricky. So as we come up this hill, you can kind of see the line where these 2 sort of dirt textures meet, where there's kind of this seam. I don't know how well you can see it, but I'm Tor's feet are standing over it right now. So that's kind of where you want to time your jump to. Because as you start to go further down, you start to lose height, and it becomes a bit more difficult to reach. So what I like to do is, I like to go up to like the edge of the grass right here, and then rotate Tor so he's kind of lined up where the top of his left ear is kind of matched up with the wall. And I'm going to hold down R1, and then run forward, and then try to time a jump just before I go down this sort of seam, if you will. We'll just call it a seam. So back up a little bit, kind of stand where the grass meets the dirt. So whenever I'm doing a setup, and you're seeing me rotate Tor in place, what I'm doing is I'm holding down L2, which is the combat strafe, and then moving Tor with the camera so that he pivots in place, but he's always facing with his back to the camera, so you always get a perfect angle. So yeah, from here, let go of L2, hold down R1 to run, and then I'm going to hold forward, and then jump right as I get to the seam. And then once I get the jump, I start to hold up and to the left. So, looks something like this. Hold on a second. Get him out of that idle animation. Like that. Okay. So, I'll show you this a couple of more times. Line it back up. And this setup's not very specific. As long as you jump before the seam, and then start to curve towards the left as you execute the mid-air, you should be good to go. It's relatively lenient with practice. So that was a little bit too early of a jump in terms of curving the jump. That was a little early. That was a little late. I'm not used to doing this setup, so I apologize if I beef it. Okay, hold on a second. Back it up. There we go. So yeah. Oh, I was off camera. Sorry. Let me try that one more time so you can see it with the input cam here. Okay, so line it up. Boom, just like that. Okay. Now, once you're up here, you're gonna go between these two trees. So what I would recommend doing is, as you're running forward, so you're holding down R1 to do the run button. Also hold down your L2 combat strafe. So in this game, there's an auto hop mechanic, like just like that, when you run off of a ledge. But if you hold down L2, it prevents the auto hop mechanic from happening. So what you can use that to do is prevent your basically run mid-air, and it saves some time and movement. So what you're gonna see me do here is go between these two trees, and I kind of have Tor lined up between these two sort of lines. Where's my icon? There we go. So I have them sort of lined up between these two lines right here that I'm using these sort of X to denote. So you're basically aiming for right where this X is. So holding down L2 and R1 to run, and then we just run forward and right through here. And then once you get to the ground, stop. Once you've landed on sort of this floor, what you want to do is turn Tor so that he's facing towards this tree texture. So you see how there's this really big tree trunk right here? This is where you want to aim towards. So what we're trying to do is, the next area after Tor's family farm is Farm Road, which you want to try to avoid loading in. So by going a bit wide, so you were like if you landed with the setup I just showed you, you'd probably land like here. You want to turn yourself more like this, so that you can avoid loading that in. So we're gonna go ahead and sort of just run through that tree as it kind of goes over the top of us. There's a better view of it, and then we're just gonna keep running forward. And if we did this right, we should just cruise right by. All right. So once you like see all the terrain kind of go away, you can kind of turn your angle a bit to the right, so you can start heading towards this big land mass. And so, basically, when you're out of bounds, and there's nothing that there's no geometry for you to stand on, you've basically got an infinite floor space underneath you at the bottom of the map. And so that's kind of what we're using right here in order to not like get sent into the infinite void and to run out of bounds to where we want to go. So with this out of bounds, our goal is to get back inbounds on the other side of all the farm roads and stuff. And what we're going to do here is do what's called an up warp. Now, if you're on the floor that we're on right now, this giant invisible floor, if you're on top of it and there's something that the game considers inbounds geometry above you, it will teleport you on top of it. So what we're going to do is, where I have this X position, there's kind of this green platform right here, and that's what we're going to be aiming for. So I've already got Tor lined up, but we're just going to hold R1 to run, and I'm going to keep pointing my camera towards it so you can kind of see where I'm going, and eventually you will teleport up here. Okay, you'll teleport onto this platform. You might land over here, you might land like over here, depending on what your angle is. Once you get up here, what you have to be careful of is there's kind of this invisible wall here. So what I like to do is kind of go towards the trees and then kind of just hold in into the right to make sure that I don't fall off. And you should go through this little wall thing right here and into this little clearing. Now what you want to do is just run down the hill and go to where these flowers are in the wall and just jump right through. And you should be back in bounds. Cool. So that's pretty straightforward. If you have any questions about that sequence or having trouble with it, just let me know, and I'd be happy to go over it in further detail with you in like a Discord call or something. But once you get to the bridge here, you're going to take a detour to the right, and I like to hold again L2 so I don't auto jump here, and you just fall off to the right, and we're heading over to the Thief's Hideout. So we need some money in addition to the 200 that we just picked up from that chest. So what we're going to go do is go run into this cave, just follow the path that I take, And we're just going to go grab the golden rose and give it to the prince. And he's going to give us, I think, 350, which is more than plenty. So just head to this left right here. It's in this chest every time. And then just get ready to mash square. Now, as like the enemies kind of pile up on you, if there's an enemy near you and he looks like he's going to hit you, make sure that you're airborne before he hits you. Because you can, like that, for example, I jumped just in case. Because he can actually hit you while you're mid-air and preserve some of the momentum. But if you get hit while you're on the ground, you kind of just get stuck. Okay, so we're heading back out of the cave now that we've gotten the golden rose, and we're just going to do some minor platforming just to get up there. Pretty straightforward stuff. Boom. Boom. And then get ready to mash square as we go and talk to the prince. Alright, so now we got the 350, and we're good to go. So let's go across the bridge. I like to jump as I go over the sort of crosswalk there because Tor normally slows down there. And jumping is a little bit faster, including jumping up the ladder here too. Alright, now as I'm running to Meridell here, I usually like to do some moat menuing in advance. So I'm going to hit down on the D-pad and then down and left. So that's going to put the, that's going to change the selection of my moat to leaf. Because we're going to be picking up a leaf moat in just a moment. So as you're approaching this leaf moat, you kind of want to stay on the right side of the path. For whatever reason, if you approach it from right to left, it kind of tends to make the loading happen a bit faster. I don't know why. You can ask Monster about that. But once you get to the leaf moat, you want to jump into it so that you skip the first time moat grabbing text box, if you will. And then as we go into town, this is important. So what you want to do is you're still holding R1 to run, but you want to open up. Okay, so on the D-pad, you want to hit D-pad up to open up this consumables menu, and then hold square, and then walk into the cutscene. And then keep holding all the way through the cutscene. So Monster has a really good explanation as to why this occurs, but if you go into an unskippable cutscene, holding down square after keeping your consumable menu open, it will instantly skip through all of the dialogue in the unskippable cutscene. So, just reminder that this only works on unskippable cutscenes, but you're gonna see like how much of a lifesaver that this can be. So yep, we're just gonna sit through this cutscene for a moment, and then you're gonna see it just skips right through the text. Really saves you on your thumbs. And I'll show you some more places where we can do that a bit later. But for now, this is pretty much the same as you would in a casual playthrough. We have to chase down the thief here because the shops do not open until we've done that, so that's what we're going to go ahead and do first. So just double check, make sure that our leaf mode is selected. We're going to be equipping that pretty much right away as soon as we grab our first sword. And I'll show you where to go to grab that in just a moment. If you want to, it doesn't really save all that much time, but you can hop this little fence right here if you want to go like turbo fast. And you're good to go. Alright, so you can mash X and or start to skip this cutscene. And then you're going to immediately turn around and go swim straight into the moat. And I hold down L2 to make this a little bit faster. And that'll put you right here. So with the arena in front of you, you want to take a left. So that's generally where your camera's going to face you anyway. But you want to head to the left. And we're going to go buy our first sword. Now, like I said, this is a beginner version of this early game route. So a lot of the stuff that I'm doing here is a bit different than what someone like me or Charles or Monster would go for in a world record attempt. That route is a bit more tricky though for beginners. But like I said, if you want me to either make a video or sit down with you to show you how to do that, it's not too bad. So, alright, so go in here, mash square to get through Smithy's dialogue, and then go ahead and buy the Squire sword. If you didn't get enough from the initial chest, then you won't have enough money to buy the sword, so that's why I made sure to check that I had enough Neo points after opening the first chest in the run. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit down on the D-pad to hit Moat Select, equip it on the sword with the circle button, and then leave the shop. And then, as we make our way out of here, we're going to go ahead and immediately, our next stop is the arena, so we're going to immediately make our way there. The arena is right in front of the water spawn point. So I'm just going to take another swim, and that's going to put me right in front of the arena. Now, as you're going, the arena lady is kind of like another example of an unskippable dialogue or cutscene that just randomly pops up. So you can do the same trick here where you open up the consumables menu and hold square, and instantly skip her dialogue. And then we're going to do 2 fights with her. We only want to do the first and second fights. So the first fight is going to give us the shield, and the second fight is going to give us a little money, and it's going to help us set up for a glitch in a little bit here. So we're going to go ahead and talk to her, hit circle to confirm yes, and then mash through. Okay, so this first fight doesn't really have too much in the way of strats to it because we don't have a shield yet. So just go for 3-hit combos. So if you haven't played this game casually before, which I would honestly recommend before learning the run because it'll make some of these mechanics a bit easier, but you want to time your sword swing so that you get the full 3-hit combo. So 1, 2, 3, and then we'll attack. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. So just go for the 3-hit combos. And then at the end of each arena fight, I mistimed it because I was talking, but you can do the same consumable menu trick where you hit up on the D-pad and then hold square and skip through all of her dialogue. So basically whenever Shanra talks that you don't engage with, you can do that. So we're going to talk to her one more time. And now this time we have a shield, so I'm going to show you how to do shield canceling. Basically you do the same kind of 3-hit combo, but on your last attack you want to hold down L1 to shield, and that'll cancel the 3-hit combo animation a bit early while still dealing the damage, and that lets you get away with a stun lock. So I'm going to show you how that looks here. So holding R1 to run towards, hold down L1 to cancel it, so you can kind of see that Tor goes into that shielding animation, and that's how you know that you did it properly. You have as many attempts as you want at that fight, so if you like screw it up and like die, it's not like something you reset over. Okay. So by doing that fight, we activate this dialogue, which gives us 500 Neopoints, and that's going to be stored in the game's memory for this glitch that we're going to do up here in a moment. So it's important that as we make our way to our next destination that you do not talk to anyone or bring up dialogue with anything. Otherwise it will cause this glitch not to work, okay? So by doing that second arena fight is what triggers this sort of dirty area memory text bug glitch that we're about to do. There's a great video that Monster made about why this works within the context of the game's code. I'm going to have that linked in the description if you're interested. But as far as this tutorial is concerned, I'm just going to show you how to do it so that you can do it in your speedrun attempts. Now, on the map, where we're headed is on the directly south side of town. We're headed to where it says deliver package. So we're just going to run all the way to the other side of town now. Yeah, unfortunately there's no like water respawn point that can take you immediately to where you want to go here. So we're just gonna go ahead and walk the old-fashioned way. Alright. So now we're coming up on, once you see this red building, red roofed building right here, this signpost right here is what we're gonna be talking to do the glitch. So what you want to do is jump and then continue to hold the X button. So when you hold down the X button, it actually skips through dialogue faster, which is crucial for making this trick work. So if you're not holding down the X button, don't yell at me when this trick doesn't work for you, okay? So all you do is you walk up to the sign, hit square, don't mash the square button, and just let the dialogue run out. And then it'll give you 500 Neopoints every time you do this, okay? So it's that easy. When you get good at it, you can try and start speeding it up. But when you first start doing it, take it slow, because if you screw it up, it won't like prevent you from doing the glitch again. But it'll just mean you'll miss 500 Neopoints, which loses a little bit of time. Okay, so the amount that you normally really need is 13k for an any percent run. But I'm gonna get some more so I can show you where to buy some consumables later on, if you think that would be helpful. So you probably only need like another 1500 if you want to buy some extra health. And I'll show you where to buy that. But now that, okay, so let's look at our money. We got 14k. So that's looking pretty good. So we're going, I think, yeah, we're going to the potion shop. So it's not worth drowning at the moment because we can just run the opposite way we came, and it'll take us over to where we want to go. So this building right here, red roof with the cauldron, is the potion shop. This is where we are on the map. Go inside here, and then we're gonna start. We're gonna buy 1 potion of power, see the cutscene. We'll buy 3 more, so 1, 2, 3, and then buy 1 of these here, and then I'm gonna equip it just so I can make sure I know how many I've actually bought. I usually buy around 21 to 22, so you can buy a little bit more if you want to. As you get better at the game, you'll start to route in less and less uses of the money, which becomes important when you learn the more difficult route. But for right now, just buy as many potions as you want. You're not going to be able to get health consumables really here very quickly. I suppose you could, but I'll buy 1 more potion here, and then 1.4k is very reasonable because red juppies are really inexpensive. So, oh, you can just go up the road here if you want to buy consumables right away. But you don't really need consumables yet, because you're not going to be likely to take all that much damage once we get to the next part. So yeah, you could buy either red juppies or Chocotos here if you want to in this shop, but it's honestly not really worthwhile to do until you finish the next segment in Kagam after we get the Cloak of Heroes. So I wouldn't worry about buying health consumables just yet. I just got some extra money to give you a rough idea of how much extra money you could route in for personal safety, just to make sure that you don't die in certain spots. But you're not going to be too worried about that in the early game, so I would just stick with the potion shop for right now. But if you're paranoid, that's where you go get your consumables, okay? Alright, so we're going to stop the first video right here. So we just took care of skipping the intro, all of that nonsense, and we got our first sword, and we're pretty much geared up and good to go. In the next video, we're going to cover Kagam and doing some sequence breaking to get the Cloak of Heroes early. So look forward to that in the next video. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Any feedback would also be greatly appreciated. I will catch you all in the next video. Thank you so much for your time. Take it easy, everyone.